Hickok 45 here, coming to you from the beautiful hills, as I make sure it's recording, of Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, the beautiful snow-covered hills, yeah, ice-covered hills and snow-covered hills. A lot of those around this week, right? Texas, all across the eastern part of the country and the Midwest. And I thought, this is obviously the week I should whip out, but I don't know. I thought, why not? Let me come out and at least be out here a little bit, enjoy the frosty air in the 20s and low 20s right now. And good day to shoot a good old vintage 1911, a real 1911, made in, no, not 1911, but made in 1918. That makes it a 1911, not a 1911 A1, okay? Although we call them all 1911s, right? Sort of generally, generically. But yeah, the home of Alvin York. Yeah, let's remember Alvin York. This kind of weather makes me think about what our soldiers have gone through in, gosh, for hundreds of years actually, but especially World War I, World War II, and I just watched Band of Brothers, and I think that's what kept me from wimping out. Really, and just making sure I came outside at least for a little bit, okay? But anyway, and I wanted to shoot the old 1911. Seeing a World War II movie kind of puts you in the spirit to get out a Garand or a 1911, something like that, and fire a couple of shots, right? That steel really rings on a cold day, doesn't it? A snowy day. I haven't shot on the range since it's been covered up with snow. I haven't really been out, been doing different things, trying to keep the cars going and everything. I'm just going to send one to the gong, into that general direction at least. I heard it. Yeah, my old four-wheeler sitting over there is snowed under kind of, and it's just not a good time to be outside enjoying the outside, unless you want to do some sledding or something like that. Let's take, and obviously for that reason, I just thought I'd introduce you right here. How's that? Got him. All right. Oh yes, they tend to work even in the cold, even if they're 100 and 13 years old. No. This is 1918, so this is 103 years old. Yeah. So longer than that, of course, since the 1911 came out, but since 1918, do my math. My Kentucky math tells me it's 103 years. Let's put another mag in it. Am I being sacrilegious by putting a modern magazine in this thing? I apologize. Did y'all get a good look at it? Well, let me show you. Well, I'll show you after it's empty. How's that? Be safer. Okay. Let's shoot something like, I don't know. I don't really want to knock over the animals in the snow. I'm going to try that plate over there. Got him. I mean, there's nothing wrong with knocking them over in the snow. It's just that when it warms up and everything is a muddy mess and all that, then the animals are a muddy mess. Unless it's necessary, I tend to just hit the swinging targets on certain times, certain weather conditions. Y'all can see the shooting table there, I guess. I guess everything's not whited out with the lighting. This might be kind of a strange look. I don't know if you can. Maybe you're lucky and you can't see me. That'd be good, wouldn't it? So let's put one more in, take a couple more shots. And then what I might do is, I had several things I might talk about. I might just go in and sit by the fireplace. I don't think I have a fire, but I might go in the house and do something different too, and talk to you mostly from in the house, okay? Otherwise, it'd be about a 7-minute video, Sunday shoot around. You'd be really upset with me because, I wouldn't, it'd be so short. Some people would be extremely happy, but some might not, I don't know. All right, let's shoot this mag, and let's see, let's shoot the tree. Can you see the tree? Nice old gun. Not much for sights, but a nice old gun. Wow, 1918. I love it. So, yeah, man. Yeah, this we've got heat, and unlike a lot of people in Texas, as I speak, having a tough time in various parts of the country. So it really makes you appreciate having heat and being prepared, and if you possibly can. And some of that's the government's responsibility. Some of it's our responsibility, isn't it? And it's not a pleasant thought to be in weather like this, conditions like this, temperatures like this without heat. Just not. It's really not. So, and I could hang around and shoot a little long, but I think I already planned I might do this. So it is really cold. I think I'll go in and we'll have a little chat, and then I'll come back out and maybe take a couple shots and wrap it up. How's that? Does that make sense? Well, you get mad at me if I do that? If I wimp out a little bit? I actually could stay out here, but I think I'll go in, okay, and then come back out. How's that? Get warm, chat with you a little bit about some meaningless meanderings and that sort of thing. So I'll see you in the house directly. Okay, I'm in here where it's warm now, and guess who joined me just now? Slamfire. It's so rare for y'all to see him, I thought I would just invite him into the living room here, the den, and he might hang out with us a little bit. I don't know if you can see his cute face or not. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not looking at the camera. You can see the top of his head. Yeah, he's a character. He really is. He was outside while I was shooting and enduring the cold. In this kind of weather, he goes out for a while, but he doesn't stay long because he's a baby. Actually, he's pretty tough. Because he'll go out when it's like 10 degrees, hang out for a while, and then come back in. So, but now we're in here where it's warm. He'll probably cause a problem. I'll have to get up and let him out or into the basement or something, but that's okay. I wish I could tilt the camera down automatically. Maybe I can raise him up. That's a boy. You see, yeah, he's he's a good boy. He's a good boy. So yeah, it's a nice warm day. I can talk or nice warm in here. I can talk for a couple hours, right? Appreciate their support. It is too bad, man. I mean, what year is it? 2021. And I'm so sorry y'all can't see Slamfire. He's so cute. Look at him. Look at him. He's such a cute boy. No, there he goes. I knew it. Where are you going, Slamfire? But it is, the year is 2021. Let me put him out. I'll be right back, okay? Don't go anywhere now. I'm gonna lay him out. Okay, go on, big guy. Go on out of there. Okay. All right. He doesn't like me talking loud, it kind of throws him off. If you weren't here and I wasn't raising my voice to make sure it gets recorded, all my brilliance, he would just stay in my lap for, who knows, about 30 minutes probably, the goofball, because I'll be over there in my recliner, my laptop working, and he'll come in here and he'll look up at me. Okay, I can't resist him, so I'll put my laptop aside, and then he'll jump up in my lap, and of course for about 20-30 minutes, okay, it's cat time, so. But anyway, he's a good boy. He doesn't just stay there all day, generally. He's not like some cats. It's just as long as you allow him. He might just stay for 10 minutes and then he's gone. So he has things to do. He's a busy guy. But anyway, many of you have seen him already, and he's a good buddy. But yeah, it's 2021. I was making that profound observation before Slamfire interrupted me, and we still don't have reliable power to some people, some towns, some cities. And that's the thing. Government's first priority is, we all make fun of the government. We all criticize the government. I mean, that's kind of what we do, right? Just like last week, I talked about criticizing our boss or company we work for because we know better, right? Well, we do know better in a lot of cases than the government because it's such a gigantic bureaucracy, and we know how those people got into office. That's the thing. It's a little different from the company you work for or I have worked for. Uh, the people who run a company generally, or a business, a school, whatever it is, a private school at least, a public school, that's government, right? Public schools, but in business, somebody has an idea and they figure out a way to make something or provide a service and that will turn a profit. And, they want to hire more people that can help them turn a profit and make their business run efficiently and that kind of thing, or else they're out of business. So it's a little different from the government. The way government works is just get votes. And you can get in there, and then you can create your department, make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and try to get more and more of the budget. And not a lot of efficiency going on, right, in government. That's really a contradictory term. It's an oxymoron talking about efficient government. And of course, the worst thing is government has, in the last couple hundred years, has gotten into everything that really was not supposed to be their job. It's really our job. It's our government. We hire these people to take care of things we can't take care of. That's why you have government. If 20 of us are stranded on an island, we're going to need some kind of government, some kind of council, so we kind of make decisions together and take care of things that need to be done that me as an individual cannot do as well as all of us, whatever that might be. Maybe it's protection on the island, and setting up a perimeter and a guard system or something, whatever it might be, or gathering different kinds of food or cooking. Some people are better at doing this, fishing, and others. So, all that, is what we need. Well, our government, we need to keep the roads in order, right? The highways, national defense, right? I mean, some of the biggies, taking care of that sort of thing. And of course, they've gotten into taking care of everything, in order to get votes. You can buy votes. And a lot of people think that's where the country begins to slide downhill and will snowball, because once enough politicians realize they can get voted into office and their little gravy train of their guaranteed salary, and then of course most of them become rich, being if they're in there very long, whether it's a senator, congressman, or whatever. I don't know how that happens, because a lot of people that make that much money or almost that much money out here in the real world don't end up with $40 million, so somehow it happens there, and they get involved in all these different things. But anyway, I digress. Baseline, the minimum requirements we need from the government, or it's state or federal, right, is to just take care of the things like the power and have backup plans for that, right, and think ahead, contingency, plans, because man, if you don't have power on a day like today, you're in trouble. I've thought about it. Years ago, we went to gas and propane. I ran a tank back when I couldn't afford it very well. I spent money, I remember it was a stretch, to have lines run from the tank out and around so we could have a portable backup tank, and then of course furnace too, and switch to gas for that reason, partly. Gas is just more efficient, propane or natural in a lot of ways. And then so if power went out right now, we wouldn't have any lights, but we have a portable, pretty nice little portable gas heater, connected to the main tank of propane. And I try not to let it get under 50%, 40% for sure. So I could go for, knock on wood, weeks, I think, with enough heat to get by. It wouldn't be comfy. Individually, we've got to plan for that kind of thing. And then as a country, as a state, as a county, you just have to have plans for that sort of thing. And in so many cases, the government cannot take care of us. It's never been a part of my uh, being to think, well, whatever happens like that, I don't need to worry about what happens if power goes out. The government will take care of me. Well, no, they won't. They can't. In an emergency, you're kind of on your own, just like a threat or an assault. You're on your own. We're on our own, right? The old cliche about when seconds count, the police are minutes away. That's not just a cliche or a funny sign that you see at a gun show. It's the absolute truth. We are our first responder. We are the first responders, right? On everything almost. And when the EMTs get there, the police get here, they're the second responders, generally speaking. We're the first responder. If you're attacked, there's probably not going to be a warning, right? Or else you're not going to be attacked. If somebody warns me at 12 o'clock or in 20 minutes they're going to attack me, it's not going to be much of an attack. I'm going to be ready, or I'm going to be out of here. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be somewhere else or really well armed. Put it that way. So it's the things that happen unexpectedly that are when we need the most help, of course, and that needs to be provided by us, right? So anyway, I got off on all that, but it got me thinking this problem they're having in Texas and around this week. It's just it's tough, really tough to think about so many people without power, and a lot of people too. Especially South Texas, I guess, and other places, New Orleans, they're not used to this cold weather at all. We don't get much of it even here. And all of a sudden it's really freezing, really freezing. And you think in those parts of the country, I guess around Houston and that area, that how cold could it get? I got a sleeping bag or whatever, but if it goes several days and it's iced and power's out and it's really bad, just something to think about. It might just happen once every 100 years, or 50 years or whatever. But it could be the year around, right? So I don't know, what else was I going to talk about? I don't know. I'm sad to see Rush Limbaugh die. Now, he's very political, and some of you might hate Rush Limbaugh. Whatever you think about him, though, gosh, was he intelligent. I mean, the intellectual power of that guy was amazing. If you're on the left, and we do have a lot of folks on the left politically that watch our videos, so I don't want to be running you away. We want you to support the Second Amendment and not get irritated at me every time I open my mouth. But I did enjoy Rush. I enjoy his intellect. I used to listen to him years ago. I haven't listened to him much. I'll catch pieces of him because my only criticism of Rush is that it was all politics. He never, I only ever talked about anything else, just almost never. And as much as I keep up with politics, I can't sit and listen to somebody talk about it for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, but I was just always impressed with his command of the English language. A lot of it was the English teacher. I mean, I was the same for some folks on the like Ellen Goodman, if anybody knew her. Great writer. There's a lot of great thinkers and great writers on both sides of the political aisle, of course. But Rush's level, just his command of the language, he's one of the most articulate people I've ever heard speak, right? And I think if you don't agree with that, you don't think he was articulate, it's just politics. It's just sour grapes politics, okay? Because there are people of all political persuasions that are actually very intelligent intellectually, right? Just like people of all religions. You can't brush people with a broad brush because just because someone doesn't agree with you, it doesn't mean they're stupid, right? And that's really kind of a dumb comment. You see people say that, or it's so stupid. It's almost like saying Glocks suck, or Glocks are stupid, or whatever. They're not really stupid. Or a lot of people are not stupid. It's that you just don't agree with them. A lot of people think I'm really stupid. Well, I may be, but most of them it's because they don't agree with what I talk about or something, or whatever. Who knows? But I try to, for the most part, stay out of the politics. I lean libertarian, and that's it. And I vote for whoever seems to support based on my research and listening to them, reading what they have to say, and reading their platforms, seem to have the most respect for individual freedom. And man, I make no apologies for that. Less government is my motto. Okay, that government is best, which governs least, as was it Emerson or Thoreau that said that? One or the other. So anyway, yeah, I don't know what I was going to talk about. The weather. It's so funny. I was thinking this week, as the snow is hitting, the weather people, they're like everybody else. Well, actually, they might have written the book on it. In terms of getting attention, getting eyeballs, getting clicks, is whenever there's bad weather, I don't need to tell you that, right? Hurricane or snowstorms or just anything in your city or nationally, you got the classic weather person, with the beach and the wind blowing, or whatever, and snow. And around here, we don't get that much snow. When we do, it's kind of bad because there's usually ice mixed with it. Now, that's one thing that people far north don't really get. They laugh at us. We get 2-3 inches of snow, and we act like the world has ended. And that's true to some extent, but often it's because there's ice with it, under it. Like this go round this week, the first go round at least, we have had a lot of, some freezing rain and just ice and sleet, and pretty slick situation. Closed things down pretty well. So I got out. I got 4-wheel drive on almost everything I own. Well, I guess I do on everything. A truck, both cars, the 4-wheeler. The tractor is 2-wheel drive. But but anyway, the weather people. Oh man, it's just what I want. And I don't mean to make fun of anybody personally, but yeah, it's just what I want to wake up and have a 23-year-old guy or gal explain to me whether or not I should go out of the house or not, and I won't get into all the details of some of the absurd things that I heard this week. I know whether I should go out of the house, whether it's safe to get on the road. And I will go out, and one of the first things I do is get in my car. I have a Yukon with 4-wheel drive, and I go out to see how the roads are, to see how bad they are. It is possible for the roads to be so bad that even 4-wheel drive you don't want to be out. That's rare. But if it really were just an absolute sheet of ice, it's 4-wheel drive doesn't solve that necessarily, But anyway, it's funny how people react, and they get their clicks. They keep you riveted. And around here, they're always forecasting if there's a chance of a dusting of snow. Though they're talking 3 and 4 and possibly 6 inches in some of the areas. I mean, it's interesting to hear. Speaking of being good with the language, they don't lie necessarily, but they make you think 6 inches of snow is coming. And it keeps you watching. Right? The whole world lives to get clicks, right? Attention, get eyeballs, right? So they're constantly doing slick things, just like I do, right? Slick things, slick videos. Oh man! As I said, as I was shooting earlier, I watched. Did I say that? Yeah, I watched Band of Brothers. It's interesting timing. It's one of my favorite miniseries, I guess it is. Tom Hanks and what's his face, the great producer. I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. But that was a masterpiece they created. If you've never seen Band of Brothers, what's wrong with you? Unless that kind of, if you've seen Saving Private Ryan, or you avoided it because it's pretty raw. Maybe you don't want to watch Band of Brothers, but just a masterpiece, and the characters, and of course it's based on pretty much the story of Easy Company. But I highly recommend it, and if you haven't seen it for several years, it's a good watch. Tune in and carve out some time if you're in the house a lot. And it may not be something really young folks need to see parts of it, but just really brings home what it's all about, and what a lot of guys mostly went through. Not only guys, but mostly guys in World War II. Difficult times, and the brutality of it, and then the coldness. The reason I was reminded it was interesting because just as the snow was hitting this week, I was at the episode Bastogne, and everything, or the Battle of the Bulge, and all that was going on. As I'm looking out the window and seeing 10 degrees, 15 degrees, and snow and ice, but I'm in my comfy house, and they were not, and nobody was shooting at me, and firing off rockets and grenades and that sort of thing. But it was one reason I was like, I don't think I'm going to get something from World War II out, and just in the mood to shoot it. Not that I would grab my Garand and play World War II, but I had my 45 handy, kind of. It's always not too far away, easy to get a hold of, and I just thought, well, I think I'm going to shoot the old 1918, 1911, and that's what I did. You saw me. I'm going to shoot it again. But and this thing is not malfunction. 1918 has not malfunctioned. And again, one of the reasons that these things are so special is they are 1911s. 1911s are fun. They're special, whether you carry it or not, or you rely on it or not. Just great firearms. And this one, it could have been carried by one of those guys in easy company. This very gun. I don't know, 1918. They used these. They didn't make any after. I think I drew a blank on that when I was talking about it recently. They didn't really make any. I think someone helped me out in a comment somewhere where I said that. Maybe it was last week, Sunday shoot around, that they didn't make any after 1945, which I kind of knew it, but I wasn't confident enough to proclaim that. But so I think they didn't make any of these after 1945. We had a lot of them, and so the ones carried in Vietnam were these old ones. And of course, that's one reason by the 80s we were ready to get something different, because these were all getting older and everything, and particularly some of them. But anyway, it's just an interesting piece of hardware, old 45, fun to shoot, and just a lot of fun to shoot, not necessarily in battle. So that's some experience I've not had, which reminds me, if I talked about this, every now and then there will be, I don't know if it's the same guy, maybe I have talked about this, there'll be some guy, I say some guy, guys are always the idiots in the world, right? Women, girls, they have better things to do than troll on the internet, right? Has anybody ever found a female troll or a hater, like on your channel or on your Facebook? Maybe so, but you don't see that very much. It's us guys. We're the weirdos of the world, right? But not that this person's a weirdo necessarily. Well, it may be. Every now and then, someone will say something about, and they seem mad about it. That's the thing. It's not just a question or a curiosity. I sense when I see it, I think it might be the same person. I don't know, but I sense a resentment that I didn't serve in Vietnam, because it's like. So they'll ask me about being a draft dodger. I heard you were a draft dodger. How did you escape Vietnam? Were you a draft dodger? And let's see, what else do they say? I made a note about, or did I? Maybe I didn't. They say something about, well, I don't know. I thought I made a note, but somebody. The reason I reminded of this, I saw it again this week. And I know, yeah, what it was. This week I saw a comment. Someone asked me if I was a conscientious objector. Is that how I got out of Vietnam? And I guess because people know I shoot a lot, shoot all these military guys, shoot all this stuff. So I guess normally, or just naturally, people think, wow, this guy is sort of Vietnam age, and he shoots the Grand, everything that is used in Vietnam, the M16. He shoots all this stuff and can handle all this stuff, knows all about it and everything. Well, I wonder if he must have been a hero in Vietnam. Was he in Vietnam? If not, why not? Why wasn't he in Vietnam? You know, it'd be like, you know, learning about somebody living in 1943 that was perfectly healthy and didn't fight in World War II. You say, well, how come? Would you have a problem, a heart problem or something? Or because, you know, virtually every man, you know, went to fight, I guess, or served at some capacity. Well, the reason I bring it up is if there's anybody, like young people or, you know, mostly youngish people, Vietnam, just for your information, was not like, I don't know, any war since, or any war maybe before that. There was not a 9/11, you know, that took place and then everybody volunteered to go to Vietnam. You know, had a huge burst of patriotism and signed up to go fight in Vietnam, and then, you know, that, I mean, that was just not the deal. So all those comments, when I see them, they strike me as weird. It's like it's like accusatory. And so maybe you just don't understand how it was then. Most people didn't go to Vietnam, okay? Most guys, I think I'm correct in saying that, most guys didn't go to Vietnam. A lot of people did, and a lot of people died, unfortunately. But most of the people I know and knew, went to school with, there were some who did, but most, by vast majority in terms of numbers, didn't go to Vietnam. Some did. It was there wasn't this deal. For one, no one even knew what Vietnam was. No one even knew why we were there. What's going on? What, Vietnam? What? Why? Who is there? What are we doing over there? I mean, it was that kind of deal. It was just a different one. I'm not trying to excuse myself for not going, because I almost did. I was kind of naive myself. I was in college, and you know, it was right at the time, late '60s. I was playing basketball, thinking about going to college, trying to get a college scholarship, and continuing my basketball career. I even had hopes of playing in the pros, and so that was what I was doing, and then a lot of people were going to college and doing different things. If you got married, you were exempt, and all these kinds of things, or had a child. But so it was. I knew guys that went and that came back, you know, from college and came back, and so it was very interesting to talk to them. But it was like an extreme minority of the people around me, and it was still not clear why we were even there. You know, what was going on. You know, it wasn't like there was some attack on our country or something. And so it was just a different mindset. It was a different mindset. There was not really volunteer army, it was draft. People were just trying not to get drafted if there was a way. There were people who joined the National Guard. Some people got married, had kids to avoid going. You know, and some people did go to Canada. You know, these, I guess, are the draft dodgers. I don't know. But it was just a different thing. There was no like stigma attached to somebody because they didn't sign up to go to Vietnam. It was like, man, you're a lucky dude, you didn't get drafted. It was more the opposite of that, okay? It was something that people wanted to avoid. And I'm sure there were some people, some patriotic folks that felt like it was their duty, and they signed up and they went, and that may be who makes those comments. So I'm sorry if you're mad at me because I didn't go fight in Vietnam. If I had to do over, I would not go to Vietnam. Okay, wow. But anyway, it's just a curiosity when I see that comment. It's not very often. It's so strange, you know, when I do see it. It's like, wow, we got a Vietnam lover or somebody who fought there and is mad that I didn't or something. I don't know. Or is it someone who doesn't understand history? Someone who's young. And believe me, at least as far as I'm aware, there's no stigma attached to anybody who did not go to Vietnam and fight in Vietnam. Okay, yeah, even amongst 99% of the people who went, other than being maybe a little resentful that they got drafted, they had a lower lottery number, or they didn't have the influence of their parents. It was a senator or something, to get them out of it. That's the usual thing. But what I was going to say is I almost ended up there because I wanted to. I mean, I could have ended up there. There's one quarter I wanted to take a lighter load, and I had the student deferment or whatever. But I was playing basketball, and I remember the one winter, like ate me alive because I had some tough courses and we were traveling and all that, trying to do it. So the next winter, I was going to plan to just take 12 hours of credits if I could get by with it. But I think 15 was considered a full load, if I remember correctly. And if you didn't take a full load, then that might have been before the lottery. I don't know, but then they could just drag you out of college and you could go. And so I thought, well, I want to find out because I'd been told by a lot of people that I was too tall. They wouldn't want me anyway at 6'8". Okay, so I thought, well, maybe check that out. So I actually volunteered for a physical, and I got on the bus with the other guys up in Florence, Kentucky, rode the bus down to Covington and went through the physical and everything. And yeah, that was the impression I got while I was getting the physical. They're trying to measure me, and the thing pulled out, and they couldn't. So I was over the limit or whatever. And not that they're probably worried about me making a good target. The easy target is probably just being able to fit me in clothes at that time. I don't think it's as big a deal now, maybe. But so I did. I got a classification for that. I don't remember. I think it was 2S if you were a student. And I forget what it was. There was also a classification if you were like too tall, or maybe it was the same for if you had some other physical problem. So I had all that. And then when the lottery came along, I think I was 249, seems like 251, something like that, around 250. So I had a fairly high lottery number as well. But I mean, it had all that going on. So nobody wanted to go. Like, okay, put it that way. So. Why did I talk about that so much? But anyway, because I don't feel any guilt for not going, believe me. But I'll see those comments occasionally, and I think people just don't understand the times, what that was all about. If it had been, just fast forward and been 9/11 or whatever, I might have been on the boat, But it was just different times. Nobody that I know regrets not going to Vietnam or signing up at the time. So anyway, was there anything else I was going to talk about? I know one thing that still gets me is, let's do a little vocabulary. Okay, a little vocabulary. The word wasted. I still see people getting mad at me for wasting watermelons. Yeah, I do. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that because it's so funny in a lot of ways. And really, that's one of the things I was going to, in my little weekly rant on, if I have my notes, I was going to, about for young people, is consistency in thought was one of the things I was going to. Let's just jump into advice for young people. Okay, one of the things that I think is a worthy endeavor is to try to achieve as much as possible consistency in thought. It's something I work on. I really do, and that to try not to be a hypocrite, be consistent, even if you're consistently wrong or consistently off base, or you're consistently against the grain. Maybe nobody ever agrees with you, but at least you're consistent in what you think. Okay? I mean, you might be a communist in philosophy or a socialist in philosophy, but at least be consistent if you are, is kind of, And the way that relates to the melons, I believe there are people who would probably not even, as I say, I wrote a little diatribe on that on one of the Uzi versus watermelon, I think, in the description. But if you can sit and watch a movie where they wreck, I could turn on and watch one right now. I'm sure they're crashing a Lamborghini or 4 or 5 cars, or they're blowing up a building or burning a house or doing something. They're doing something in that movie that might actually literally cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the movies are big budget, it costs a lot to make them. I mean, there might be $1 million worth of destruction in some movies, but certainly thousands, tens of thousands, right? And we don't think anything about it. It's for entertainment purposes. Well, don't crash the Lamborghini, and how many people could you feed? How much money could you send to the food bank? Sell that Lamborghini instead of crashing it. What do they cost? 200,000 or something? Okay, don't burn that building. Don't blow up that building. Hey, I'll give you. How about this for a clue? Don't make the movie. If the movie costs $20 million to make or $50 million to make, just skip that movie. Let's not make that one. Send the $50 million to the food bank. But nobody thinks about that. And but some of you and your videos, if you do videos, and like us, occasionally we'll shoot a couple of watermelons. $10 worth of watermelons or something, and a few people go berserk, right? So that's not exactly consistency in thought, in my view. If you're going to be consistent, now someone who gets upset and writes letters and posts all over the internet about what I was just talking about, the extravagance and the waste in making movies or whatever, and then they do the same thing about me shooting 3 watermelons, then that's different. At least they're consistent. It's like a vegetarian. Like if you don't wear any leather shoes or belts, and you don't eat meat of any kind, all that sort of thing, and you go around proclaiming that everybody should be a vegetarian, okay, that's your privilege to do that. The rest of us may not agree. At least you are consistent, right? Or if you're anti-hunting, but yet you're the first one to the meat market at Kroger, right? And you've got the beautiful leather shoes and leather belts, and I'm not sure that's consistent. You would say it is probably. Well, they're not wild animals. Yeah, well, I guess not. Yeah, isn't it terrible that wild animal has to die? How about going to a meat market or a butcher? What do you call it? Where they actually kill the cows. Okay, whatever that's called. Slaughterhouse. There you go. Go to the actual slaughterhouse and spend a day. Okay, and then tell me that hunting is inhumane or whatever. I mean, I don't hunt, but I'm just talking about the inconsistency of thought. So I think it's something I work on. I'm sure I don't achieve it either, but I really try to, because I'll back up. If there's something I'm not sure what I think about, I'll kind of expand my brain a little bit and think about other things that relate to it. Well, what's my position on that? Am I being inconsistent? Am I being consistent on that? So I try to at least keep it all on track. It's really how I landed on the libertarian part. I'm not a big libertarian party guy at all. I just generally follow a lot of those guidelines because it's one of the most consistent, sensible ways of looking at the world. From my perspective, and kind of live and let live, and then because I can, for example, if someone tells me they're a libertarian, I don't even have to ask them really what they think about firearms or Second Amendment or gun control. I know, because generally they're very consistent in thought. So I know they're not going to be trying to limit my freedoms in the area of the Second Amendment. And so it's in any other way, they're not going to be interested in limiting my freedoms. No matter what it is, So I don't have to go down the list of topics and say, well, now what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? So that's one of the attractions of me, that way of thinking. Very consistent. Now you might think it's inconsistent at times, but it's pretty consistent. Another term I'm getting weirdly weary of seeing, I know we all are, is the term of racism thrown around, right? Racist, racism. I have people ask me, and I'll get a little snarky in a comment. Literally, people will ask, or they'll say things like, "Are you a racist?" or "I hope you're not a racist." They like the videos, and I guess they think they might like me, but they're not sure they can like me, because so they want to ask, "Are you a racist?" And that's kind of funny, really, isn't it? I guess because I'm an old guy, and they've been taught that all old white guys are racist, right? I guess. Yeah. So I come up with some pretty good answers to that. Yeah, because they're basically stereotyping me, right? And but anyway, racism has lost its meaning, unfortunately. I answered somebody a while back about that. I don't remember what all I wrote, but I can type 100 words a minute. So occasionally, if you see a big long paragraph I've written, it's not because I had all day and took all day to do it. I might have to think, because I don't think that fast, but I can type fast. But occasionally, I'll just pop out a long answer. It probably surprises, like, wow, where did Hickok come from? I didn't know he watched these videos or ever looked at comments. And I do scan through them. And so occasionally I'll be in a wild mood, or I'll just answer, express myself. But I was writing to this person that was in a comment, writing to everybody that reads it, that it's sad how racism has lost its meaning, because now the word doesn't mean anything. If anybody who accuses anybody in the media of being racist, I just ignore it. Like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. I mean, it's innocuous. The term has no meaning. There's no weight, whereas it used to. It just doesn't, because everybody's racist now, right? Everybody is. It's just the term that everybody uses. So if someone really is, what if I don't know, a media or whoever, some group or whatever, uncovers the fact that, I don't know, some politician or head of a large company or whatever actually has been seriously guilty of racist moves on their employees, or something that really was horribly racist, like changing the the payment scale, the pay scale for people of a certain race over others, or some kind of thing that was just based strictly on race, or something less tangible than that. Okay, where there's no real clear evidence for it, but they just know this person has been very, very racist, and they really have. Okay, they really are a racist, a bigot. Well, how would we ever know? Now, I'm not going to believe anybody that accuses anybody of being racist. The word has lost its meaning, right? Really? Yeah, it really has. So young people, this falls under, again, vocabulary. Be careful of overusing a term of crying wolf, crying fire, unless there is a fire, unless there is a wolf. Okay? It's really sad, because it prevents us from knowing something that would be useful to know. I would like to, and that's just an example of the term, of what I'm talking about. There are lots of I don't know, criticisms of people that would be extreme that we would like to know about, right? I mean, what if the accusation of child molester becomes so common, people just start using that, and of course that has been done just to knock somebody off of whatever the pedestal, or someone they don't like. That's been used, but not as much, right? Pretty extreme. But what if terms like that get thrown around over and over because we've worn out all the other really negative things? Because being a racist is a horrible thing, and everybody knows that. Nobody wants to hire someone who's racist. Nobody wants to associate with somebody who's a racist or a bigot and all that. So it's a big hammer that you can use on people, right? Problem is that big hammer has been used so much incorrectly, where it's a joke, it's just to further an agenda or something that you know nobody pays much attention to it anymore. Well, like I was saying, what if the child molester term or something that extreme? That's a gigantic hammer. What if that were used over and over and over and over again, to where if someone was actually guilty of that, it would just never be found out because everybody has the same attitude. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, well, we know everybody's being accused of that or being racist. So we've got to be careful about getting these large hammers out and using them on people. Don't ever use these big hammers to call somebody a racist unless there's no doubt about it, right? I mean, it's out of selfishness. People should not be using that term because you want to reserve that for when it's real, right? That's my point there. Reserve it for when it's real. Duh. So anyway, I'll tell you that Band of Brothers. Again, watch that if you've not seen it and you're an adult. Maybe you need to be an adult probably. When the Easy Company, I guess you could say they liberated the concentration camp. So such a moving, sad and moving scene. Gosh, they did that so well, so well. The producer I'm talking about is Jewish. Spielberg, I knew his name would come to me. Spielberg, yeah, Spielberg and Tom Hanks, I think, did that series. Yeah, produced it, and so yeah, Spielberg. I mean, just obviously he would have he'd want to do that scene well and that episode, and it was so moving. And I just thought when I was watching that, it's just amazing the capability of men, of human beings, the inhumanity that we're capable of. I mean, it's just overwhelming. It's kind of scary that we actually have that in us, the capability of doing that. You're looking back through history, and we think we're civilized now, don't we? And we're beyond all of this. We're, oh, dare I say it, we're woke. They probably thought they were woke. I mean, we got to watch it, as a society, as individuals, because we have the capability of being very inhumane, don't we? We really do. Wow. And sometimes it is because as a society we get revved up, and it's that mob mentality, that mob behavior. Whereas one or two people would never dream of doing something, you get a group of people feeding off each other, and there's almost no limit. And what does that remind you of? How about unsocial media, social media? Yeah, cancel culture and all that crazy stuff that we're going through now. So we're eating each other alive, in different ways now. Basically, I mean, in some ways it's the same thing, I guess, that mob mentality and getting behind some cause, crazy cause, especially if we have a charismatic leader. You get a really charismatic person, lots of personality, conviction. As I said before, I think it was Kierkegaard, whoever, the magic of the unconflicted person, somebody who seems to know the direction, just seems to know all the answers, and is also very articulate, very charismatic, is able to pull you in to that whatever cult or whatever it is. Maybe it's not a cult. That's powerful stuff, and we're all susceptible to that. And I think a lot of that same thing happens on social media in kind of a different way. It's not some character standing in a room preaching at you that you're just drawn to, but it's just the magic of your, maybe your echo chamber that you're in on your Facebook or your Instagram or the people you follow. Everybody seems to believe the same thing, of course, and it pulls you in, and we're all susceptible, to that kind of thing. But it's just mind-boggling when you watch that. And I'm going too long, I guess. I have a clock. I could keep my time better in here than I should. But I taught one last little story. This is my story time when I'm in the house. I can't shoot, right? I'll shoot some more before we leave, real briefly. But go back outside. But I had the good fortune of teaching my first couple of years in the early 70s with a fellow who had been a football coach, and well, his name was Jimmy Gentry, I can tell you. And he was World War II vet, and he was in on the liberation of Dachau, I think, the Jewish concentration camp, and he used to go around, and I don't think he's either in really bad health or he has recently passed. I think he's just in really bad health, but lives in Franklin, Tennessee, where he had lived in. And he would go to different groups and tell the story of that. And I always think of him when I see that episode in Band of Brothers, because he had that powerful experience and saw those scenes of that Jewish concentration camp and liberating that. And I'm not sure what company he was in. I actually never did hear one of his entire talks. Ironically, I worked with him and didn't even know anything about that for the first year or two that I worked with him. And he was just a great guy. It's funny what I got from him. We're all, as John Dunn said, we're a part of all that we have met. And he was a great influence on me, and I wasn't even around him all that much. At the end of the day, I was. We had these intramurals kind of things we'd do together at the end of the day with kids, and he and I were teamed up quite often for some reason. And I was always impressed with him, not even knowing that much about him, except that he was older than I was, like 20 years at least, 30. He was so good with the kids. They really had this special respect for him. And he always seemed too easy with them. It's like he was almost their friend, and that's a danger you have to watch in teaching, just trying to be their friends. Oh, they'll be your friends all right, and they'll eat you alive. So there's a real special, there's a fine line there. And he had achieved that, and they just loved him, the younger kids and the older kids. And I remember he'd show them rope tricks and stuff in study hall, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. Here I was a new teacher. I was just trying to survive, keep them in control and get the curriculum. I was concerned about all those things when you're new. Doing that, it's tough. And if you've ever taught, you know what I mean. And he was such an influence on me, more than I knew at the time. I was just amazed at how he was able to control the kids just through, I don't know, just being good to them, and they had respect for him, and he had a lot of humor. He would draw, funny drawings, and he was an artist basically too, on top of everything else. And here he had all that experience, in World War II. I wasn't even aware of it at the time, first year or two. But anyway, I was lucky to have been around him, for a period of, I guess, about 3 years, and you just learn from people. You just do. And because he never even talked about any of that to me, but he would go around and do speeches, and he would lose it. They said he would cry. And it had to be such a powerful thing to see that, and then to carry that with you the rest of your life. So, but anyway, you just never know what people have been through, and just a very impressive fellow from my past. I've been fortunate in my life. I've been around some very interesting people, and people who were really, really good at what they did, and helped provide kind of a stealthy mentorship in a way, people who didn't even realize they were providing an example, I guess, for me, but I drew from that and learned from them. And I think we all do that, right? I think we do. So we also learn from the slackers of the world. That's that's one of the problems, I guess. A lot of people grow up maybe in a family, unfortunately, of slackers. People who have never achieved anything, have no motivation, no desire to ever do anything, well. The word excellence has no meaning for them, and that makes it tough for the youngsters in a family like that to get beyond that, doesn't it? And that's what we face as a society. A lot of people grow up in families like that. Let's face it, whether it's in the inner city or it's in rural Appalachia or it's out where I live, out in the boonies. You just see it. I volunteered with the local sheriff's department for a few years, and I saw some sad situations. The ones with kids were the hardest, where the parents are both drunk, and you got a domestic in a situation, and you got to take the kids away while you're there, and oh man, just such a mess. They're just they're people who just basically don't have a chance. It's that simple, and a lot of us. And I've not lived in that environment. I had that experience. I've seen it, but a lot of us don't really even see that and don't really appreciate how bad it is for some people. So anyway, I'm yakking and preaching way too much, and I get in here where it's warm, and I look at the cold snow outside, and just keep talking. So I'd better shut up. I may set a record this week, right? I may have. I should have used my timer. I apologize. But anyway, a little different this week. Took a few shots, and I'm going to take a couple more. It's really cold, and it's really snowy. I can't even get my four-wheeler going. I could if I really wanted to. I don't need to do that. Like I've said before, I do this because I enjoy it. I don't, if I never turned a camera on for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. I'd be fine. If I never fired another shot, I might not be happy. I don't know. But I'm going to keep shooting no matter what, just like I did before you all showed up about 14 years ago. That was the thing, I was telling Charlie Cook, I did a ride with Charlie. See, Riding Shotgun with Charlie is his channel. Check him out sometime. Riding Shotgun with Charlie. He came through, and we scheduled it up, and I went for a ride with him and chatted. He'll be posting that on his channel in a month or two. He said, but we were talking about some of that, and how we got started, and how I was just explaining how nowadays a lot of people are kind of looking for an angle to create a YouTube channel, something big, interesting, some contribution you can make, right? I mean, I'm not saying this from a negative standpoint. A lot of millions of people are doing that. What could I do on YouTube? Because all I got to do is get a camera, and I can express myself, maybe make a little money, have some fun, and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of what the world is doing, right? And so it's hard for people to realize before YouTube was really a thing almost. A lot of people didn't even know what it was, that it existed even. And so what we did was so different from that. Our approach was we were just shooting and the same targets and kind of the same thing, just decided to bring the camera out to what we were already doing. So it's kind of a flip-flop. It's just a totally different thing. And then it just kind of gradually grew into whatever it is. and we're very fortunate that it did. But anyway, it's a great opportunity, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing it. But I could retire from this if I wanted, but I don't really want to yet. I enjoy talking to you all. I enjoy getting firearms to shoot that I've not shot before and sharing them with you. and I enjoy the exchange. And I can't get to everybody. Gosh, can't come close. And messages, but I've met a lot of people that have been really interesting to meet, both in the industry and just viewers, and you name it. And but anyway, I got off on that. That also reminds me, I talk often about not being able to get to everybody's messages, whether it's on Facebook or like on YouTube, and seeing all the comments. I also, every time I see a comment about somebody saying that, well, somebody messaged me on Instagram, or they messaged me on Twitter or somewhere else or whatever, I think, that's interesting. I forget that you can send messages on Twitter or on Instagram, because I have never checked, I guess, the first message on Twitter or Instagram. Some of our stuff gets posted there automatically, but so I apologize if you have tried to write me somewhere and I didn't see it. And even if I did, skimming through, I might not have gotten to it. But there's just, the world of social media is just way too big, right? Mainly, I just focus on YouTube. I'm not like desperately trying to build a gigantic Instagram following or something, or Twitter following. I just post there occasionally. Again, kind of fun, and maybe just to throw out some information, a picture or something we've been doing, or whatever. So, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for my rambling. I'm going to get back outside. I'm going to freeze a little bit more and take a few more shots, okay? And who knows what you'll see next week. Maybe we'll be back over on the Gong Club range, okay? Again, the Patreons paid for the Gong Club range, basically, so that's it. I get questions. There's another question. Often I will post or make available a video early to the Patreon, to patrons, okay? So that they see questions often about, this video was just posted, how come there's a comment from 3 days ago? Kind of thing. Well, that's why that is. They'll get it earlier sometimes, okay? So we appreciate our patrons, appreciate everybody, and we don't make a lot of fancy videos or extra videos for you all that are patrons, but we do post things early, usually at least one video a week, sometimes a couple, okay? So we love everybody, but that's the reason you'll see a comment that is a day or two old, okay? It's not the Twilight Zone. It just appears to be, all right? So now I'm going to turn off and better get a drink. I'm losing my voice. Maybe I should get some Jack Daniels out here and drink it, and that would make more sense. But I'm going to go back outside, and I'll take a couple more shots and sign off properly. Now, it could be that some week I do something like this and we don't even shoot. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll see how this goes. Well, I know how it goes. It's just me rambling for an hour and a half, right? So I'm going to go take a few shots, and then I'll sign off. And I appreciate y'all hanging out here in the living room or whatever it is with me. Sorry I don't have a fire built. I've been spoiled by gas heat, and I don't build a fire as often as I used to. Besides, I wouldn't want to burn the house down while you're watching. And, the camera catch on fire, and it could, spread to you and to your house, and that would not be good, right? So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to take a couple more shots, okay? So just follow me outside, and we will exercise this old 1911 just a little bit more. Okay, I hope some of that made sense. I like, for whatever I'm talking about, for maybe at least I don't know, 5% of it to make some sense to you, and maybe on a good day 10%. Anyway, I got some more ammo, and I set up a jug here and came back out, so we'll have one jug to shoot, and I don't know if it's frozen or not. I think it's not. We'll take a shot at that, see what happens. Yeah, apparently it was rather frozen. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Gosh, 1918 and hadn't missed a beat yet today. And I will excuse it even if it does. I tell you, a firearm like this, even if it malfunctioned every other time, what can you say? With the age, the history of it, World War I, World War II, Korea, who knows, Vietnam, where this thing was carried. And I hope you got a good look at it. I was going to show it to you earlier, wasn't I? Good old Colt, 1911. Hopefully you can see that with the snow washing everything out. You might not even be able to see me very well, but such as it is, the realism at the compound and how we do things, really. This is kind of like you see someone do a bedroom gun review on their bed back in the old days, and they'd get out a white sheet thinking, oh, this is the ticket. I need a white sheet to contrast with the firearm. You know, well, they put a dark colored firearm on that white sheet, and they got a camera arranged, and it just, you can't really tell the detail from the firearm. And most people finally learn, actually you want a darker sheet, brown, maybe black, whatever, you know, background. And but you know, that's no charge for that information. Okay, I have a PhD in photography, right? All right, let's take a couple more shots. We've got to put one on the gong before I let you go. All right, I was getting a little sloppy. The last one hit the gong. So anyway, I'm gonna let you go because I've talked too long. Got in a nice warm house, and I apologize for the echo and everything. I don't really have a movie studio because I'm not an actor. I'm not a movie actor, so I don't have a studio. All I do is kill zombies occasionally, right? So anyway, fine piece of history. Wow. Really does. Yeah, a cold day like this, just again, it's a reminder of what a lot of people have to face, just as civilians, right? Living in harsh conditions on the planet somewhere. But I also do think, as I mentioned a couple, 3 times or 4 times, about our soldiers that have had to endure these sorts of conditions in battle. And they don't have a warm house to go into, you know, when they're at Bastogne or somewhere, right? They just have to suffer through it, try to survive. So while rockets and bombs and bullets are flying around. So I'm going to let you go this week. It's been fun. I'm sorry I went so long. I apologize. You know, when I have that nice warm house to sit in and yak at you, that's just kind of the way it goes. So you all keep in touch, and we'll keep posting videos 3, 4 a week. All right. Some of you act like you think we quit just because you got unsubscribed or something. Just because you got unsubscribed doesn't mean we quit doing videos. Never have missed a beat, really, for about 10 or 14 years. So appreciate your support more than you know, and we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully it won't be this cold. You never know what's going to happen in this kind of weather. Life is good.